Welcome to Antioch Baptist Church. We thank God you chose to worship with us today. We hope you hear something today that will inspire you throughout the week.
And Jesus said, "Who touched me?" When all denied it, Peter and those with him said, "Master, the multitudes throng and press you, and you say, 'Who touched me?'" And as I thought, I want to use this, the unconquerable force of importunity. And you've heard that subject before. The unconquerable force. Unconquerable. Nothing can stop it. It may hinder it for a moment, but nothing can stop it. How many of us have had situations in our lives where we may have been hindered for a moment, but nothing could stop it? And though the times when it was being hindered, we felt like it is the end, we felt like we're going to give up, but nothing could stop it. Because, as a definition for that word, it was persistent. And let me read that definition so that you'll get the full impact of it. Demanding and persistent, continuously asking for something, especially in a forceful, insistent, or troublesome manner, requiring immediate attention. It said, continuously asking for something, especially in a forceful, insistent, or troublesome manner. I just wasn't going to give up. It did not matter what was going on. I was not going to give up. Because I believed that there was an answer somewhere. May not have it presently in hand. I may not even have any idea of how it's going to happen. But I refused to give up. Because as long as I do not give up, I'm going to win. It is when I give up that I lose. But as long as I do not give up, I am going to win. How many believe that? And I know there are some who have been struggling for a moment who would say, "Well, I don't know about that. This thing has been a long time, and I don't know that if I don't give up, I'm going to win. Seems like I've already lost." But you need to take it from some of us who have been in this road a moment, who have had this experience for a moment, that if you do not give up, there is a guarantee that you will win. The only time God cannot help you is when you won't help yourself. When you give up, there's not anything God can do for you but wait until your faith comes back. Wait until your faith increase. Wait until you take this thing back up again. And God just sits and wait until you do that. Now we say, "But you know, God, you can speak." Matter of fact, you don't even have to speak. The poet said, "You can just wink your eye and all of my troubles will be gone. All of my situations will be made better. You don't even have to raise your hand." So the very fact that these things are not happening says to me, maybe you are not interested in my situation. And there have been many of us who have been right there. The fact that God does not move immediately, presently, suggests to us that he is not interested in our situation. Well, you need to know something. Did you get up this morning? Yes. The very fact that you got up this morning says God is interested in your situation. If he were not interested in your situation, this morning would not have been possible for you. Are you still moving on? In spite of what's happening to you, are you still going on? That says that God is interested in your situation. You got to understand something. The situation would not be yours to experience if God had not at least permitted it. And by the fact that he permitted it meant that he had something in mind. And you were a part of that something. And you know what? I want to be a part of the mind of God. I want to be a part of the mind of God. The mind that said, let there be, and a whole world came into existence. A mind that's looked at a crippled man who had not walked for some 30-some years because of some infirmity and simply said, take up your bed. Every time I read that passage, or every time I think about that passage, I get happy. Because what God does is, he gives evidence of his caring about you. Look what he said. Now the man been at this pool for 30-some years. Not able to even help his own self get into the troubled water first. And he says, pick up your bed. You all didn't hear that. Here's a man who can't even carry himself. But he says to this man, pick up your bed. There needs to be evidence that I care about you. So the fact is, as long as you do not give up, God got you. And you go win. Now, I might need to underline that word win. Because win does not mean it happens as I had perceived it to happen or wants it to happen or imagine it should happen. But win according to God's mind. Because God's mind is only concerned about the best for you. So it says, I will not give up. I don't care what it is. I will not. You know, I've been searching for a job now. And it's been 2 years, 3 years, and ain't nothing happened. And you know what? I'm about ready to give up. But no. I'm going to hold on because if I prayed for the job, then God got it for me. But sometimes God has to get me ready for the job. Sometimes God put us on, or we get in these places and we wasn't ready for it, and it's more trouble than what it was worth. The next thing you know, we on down the road. This wasn't what I wanted. Well, this is how I like to treat things. If I pray for something, I ask God. Remember that Lord prayer where it says, lead me not into temptations. Lead us not into temptation. You remember that? When I pray for something, I say to God, now, Lord, don't let me be tempted with this. If it ain't for me, pass me on. I don't want to be tempted with this. I don't want to be caught up in this. And then I come to realize it ain't you. Then I got a whole bunch of problems. Some people have experienced that in marriage. Right now. In courtship and romance. Right now. We didn't say, lead me not into temptation. Don't put me in this if it's not your will. Because I don't want to get all caught up. And you know how we are. We are emotional people, and we get caught up real easy. And when we get all caught up, it's hard for God to say, now, wait a minute, that ain't what I meant for you. That ain't what I wanted for you. Well, Lord, I'm sorry. Because I'm caught all up in the emotions of it now. I like this thing. But it never works if it were not God's will for you. So I tell God, hey, if it's not your will, don't you get me all caught up in this thing. Because I don't want the struggles of having to remove myself from that which I like. Hope you heard that. I don't want that struggle. So pass me on or pass it on. It don't matter. Because I don't want to get caught up. If this thing is not for me. Because I'm not going to quit praying. I'm not going to give up until I'm in the job that you have for me. I'm in the relationship that you have for me. I'm in the place that you want me to be. And I don't care how long it takes, because I know you may not come when I want you, but when you do come, you're right on time. Used to be a song that was sung around here. Lord, teach me how to wait. Teach me how to wait. Job waited on the Lord, why can't I? Teach me how to wait. Some of us need to learn how to wait on God. For somebody, if God don't move in a few seconds, we gone. I ain't got time to wait. Yes, you do have time, because time is all you got. Because God is the controller of time. And that's all you got, what he controls. Everything else is so uncertain. Your money is uncertain. Relationships are uncertain. But God's time is sure. Jesus told those disciples, 6 hours, 12 hours. 12 hours, that's time. That's all you got, 12 hours. And God is sure of his time. Don't give up. And if I don't give up, there is a force that works and supports me. In this particular passage, Jesus had just cleaned or ran out the spirit, the unclean spirit in a man. Had just done that. And then he told the man, now go home and tell what good things the Lord has done for you. You remember that story? The man was wanting to follow Jesus. But Jesus said, no, go home and tell what good things the Lord has done for you. And it had gotten out that Jesus had cleaned the man who'd been in the tomb crying and cutting himself with stones. So everybody was pressing upon Jesus. They rushed to him. They wanted to be healed too. They wanted to be blessed too. So they rushed upon him and was asking him for things that he could do for them also. And one of them said, I have an only daughter who's 12 years old, and she's dying. will you come and save my daughter? And Jesus, with his compassionate spirit, left and was going to the man's house to save the daughter. Interesting. Because all Jesus had to do was speak from where he was, and the daughter would be made whole. It happens anyhow. That's the way it goes. But he's on his way. And as he is on his way, this crowd pressing upon him, somebody touched him. Now, he immediately says, "Who touched me?" Naturally, Peter's response is natural because you got all these people bumping up against you and pressing you, and you ask, "Who touched me?" But Jesus knew that was something different. Everybody who touched Jesus don't take spirit out of him. Hope you heard me. Everybody who touch him don't cause spirit to be gone out of him. Some of us right now are bumping up against Jesus, and the spirit in him is not even being disturbed. Coming to church ain't disturbing Jesus' spirit, because you're not even here for the right reason. Holding some positions ain't even touching Jesus, because you're not in them for the right reason. In some marriages, for safety's sake, ain't touching Jesus. In some relationship, because you think your biological clock is running out, ain't touching Jesus. Got some jobs, you ain't touching Jesus. Everybody who touches Jesus does not cause spirit to. I get amazed when Jesus said the harlots and the publicans are going to get to heaven before you get there. He's talking to a sanctimonious Pharisee. He's talking to a righteous church-going Pharisee. Even the disciples who touched him. But he says to this woman, "Who touched me?" When they asked, how could he ask such a question? He said, because something happened inside of me. Because the woman was not so much desperate. A lot of us are just desperate. But she believed. I don't have to have him say nothing. He don't have to lay his hands on me and slay me. I don't have to even, if I can just go and touch the hem. Why did the writer say the hem? You know how low the hem is? The hem is just right off the ground. But the hem can say, because there are a lot of us who are just right off the ground. We ain't way up here. We're just right off the ground. But the hem that's near the ground can save us. All we got to do is touch it. Touch the hem of his garment. And when nobody admitted that they had touched the hem, the woman felt, uh-oh, I'm caught, I'm exposed. I might as well admit that it was me. And she talked to him about her situation. Apologized. That's when you get to Christ. Lord, I'm sorry for what I did. Not all this, Lord, I did it because You know, if she hadn't have done it to me, I wouldn't have done it. Lord, you know, if they hadn't have lied on me, I wouldn't. But she apologized. Jesus, in essence, says to her, your persistence, your refusing to give up, because she had been to doctors. I'm sure had spent all the money that she had tried everything that she could possibly think of. But there was one last thing I can do. And I imagine if she had touched the hem of Jesus' garment, she still wouldn't have gave up. She was tired of this issue of blood for these 12-some years. She was tired of that. But when she did touch his garment, there is something that's in your path that's going to bring you healing. In your path, not somebody else's path, but in your path. Because God promised us he would always be with us. And I'm not going to try to be a doctor and explain how this issue got into this woman. I ain't messing with that. All I know is she had it. All I know is she wanted to be relieved from it. All I know is she touched the hem of Jesus' garment, and Jesus said to her, daughter, personalize that thing. Daughter, not woman. Well, maybe I should have done this earlier. But you know, blood was something that was of interest to this culture of people. You going around with an issue of blood, you can't be touching nobody. You're not even supposed to be around anybody. She secretly put herself in that crowd. She secretly touched his garment. She was afraid that if it was known that she touched, and with her problem, the issue of blood, Jesus would have cussed her out. That's what somebody else would have done. But no, he said, daughter. He personalized it, daughter. Because you refused to give up, because you understood that if I maintain the faith, if I just hold on, it's going to be all right after a while. But I got to hold on. I don't care the trouble or how surmount the trouble is. I don't care about that. It cannot last always. The thing I think and I'm almost finished, the thing I feel that we do not understand about God is God's purpose is not to kill us. Ain't God's purpose. A lot of this near-death stuff, that was on us. God ain't had nothing to do with none of that. We did that. But God's purpose is to bring us to everlasting life. Now, I will admit, God will put you into some situations to help get you there. But bring you to eternal life. Daughter, I think this morning, God is waiting to say to some of us, son, your faith. Daughter, your faith. Because you refuse to give up, because you would not be conquered, because you have been persistent in this thing, you're made whole. You're made whole. Whatever it was that was bothering you, whatever it was that was troubling you, it's there no more. And I can imagine when that woman realized that she was made whole, praise went berserk. To have had this issue of blood for 12 years and now I'm healed. I can't understand somebody who God raised from sick beds, who bring out of prisons, who saved from death, who give, and they can't even praise him. God's done anything for you. He's worthy of your praise. And nobody has to orchestrate that praise. Just to know what he has done for me. Just to know that he has brought me through. Makes me praise. And I may not be running all up and down the aisles. But in my heart, in my spirit, if you could hear the words upon my lips, you would know that all I'm saying is thank you, thank you, thank you for what you've done for me. Thank you for bringing me through. Sometimes because people don't understand and will interfere with my praise, I go to my closet and close the door and get on with my praise. God's a good God. He's a good God. But it's about us and whether we are willing to keep on fighting, to keep on working. Well, Lord, I failed again today. All right, I'm going to give you tomorrow. Well, Lord, I failed again. Okay, I'm going to give you tomorrow. As long as God keeps giving you life, you need to keep holding on. You need to keep fighting. You need to keep struggling. You need to keep saying, I will win. Because you are. But then got word that the girl had died. The girl had died. That Jesus was too late. Girl had died. But you know what? Don't matter. Don't matter. And interesting, he went on to the house. He could have said rise from where he was, but he went on to the house. You know what he did when he got to the house? He put everybody out.
Thank you for worshiping with us today. Check out our website and see how we're touching our community for Christ. And if you would like more information on this broadcast, please contact us at the number listed below. And have a blessed day.